so what is your role here at the Northeast Safety Council?
I'm called the Member Services Manager. There's roughly 400 local corporate members of the Safety Council, and so I work very closely with the members and assist them in anything that they require. So whether it's safety questions or concerns that they have, whether they need to set up safety training or safety consultation, I'm sort of the first person that they talk to about that. I may not be the one who does the work, but I'm going to be the one who facilitates getting it done.
Okay, and who are your members? Who are those people?
It's, trying to describe a typical member of the Safety Council is impossible.
Okay.
Because when it comes to safety, we pretty much do it all. So whether a company is a manufacturer, distributor, if they're in the maritime industry or, logistics, everything from hospitals to churches, restaurants, everybody has employees they're trying to keep safe. And there's OSHA requirements, to do so. So everybody has to be concerned and be in compliance as well.
Okay. Yeah, so you cover basically everyone. So if you were to say, like, what is the Northeast Safety Council, or what are you guys, what do you do? How do you describe that?
Well, I usually, give them the history lesson. We were established in 1942. We're a not-for-profit organization, and we're a member-based organization. So in some respects, you could almost say, the members own and run the council, because the board of directors is actually elected out of the membership. So everything that happens here is by and for the benefit of the members.
So I know you said you cover a lot of industries and that you have your members. So your members are more of like businesses, right? And then they send their employees.
Right. You don't have to be a member of the Safety Council to use us for training.
Okay.
Anybody can attend our classes. But being a member does have advantages and benefits. And one of those advantages is there's a 20% discount on safety training. Mm-hmm. So that's usually going to more than offset the cost of the membership. And then other membership benefits are like all of our consultative services are free to our members. So if they have any kind of safety questions or problems or concerns, there's no charge, for them contacting us. And so I get involved in those kind of situations and scenarios. And in that kind of environment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to the subject matter experts that I have access to, which are considerable.
Okay.
And that's probably the primary reason to do business with the Safety Council, is because we do have access to so many subject matter experts. And if it's a regulatory, kind of situation, well, we're actually located directly across the street from OSHA. So right across the street is OSHA. And we have a great working relationship with them. So if I get asked a question, usually I'm going to do the research myself first. I'll go right into the Code of Federal Regulations and see what I can find. But chances are, if it was there, they probably wouldn't have had the question in the first place. Mm-hmm. So many times I'll have to speak with OSHA directly, and we know those folks very well. But again, in those situations, the member remains anonymous. So there's no passing of information, about our members to OSHA. And on OSHA's part, they're fine with that. They're not probing, trying to find out, who these companies are. They just want to make sure that the questions are answered and that the companies are in compliance. So it's a great relationship.
Are the classes that you offer, are these sort of like, how do I want to phrase this? Like a pre-class, or is it sort of like a consequence? Do you know what I mean?
Right. The training that we do, the primary training is designed to be OSHA compliant.
Okay.
So if it's, let's just say it's forklift training, to kind of pick an easy one, all operators of forklifts have to be trained, and then they also have to be evaluated on the equipment while they're operating the equipment. Mm-hmm. So they can demonstrate that they're proficient to operate it and also operate it safely. So there's definite requirements in the OSHA regulations of how that training is supposed to take place, who can do the training, and what the content of the training is supposed to be. So we're making sure that what we're providing is OSHA compliant training. OSHA doesn't do any training themselves, they just have these regulations that require training. So OSHA doesn't really endorse anyone to do the training, they just put the requirements out there, and it's up to the training organization to make sure that they are fulfilling those requirements. And we're guaranteeing that for our members. So the member has the peace of mind that, you know, they've come to the safety council, they've taken reasonable steps, you know, to get this training done, and the council is giving them assurances that the training is done to the OSHA requirement. And that peace of mind and being in compliance is worth something.
Yeah. So what sort of classes do you guys offer? Is it easier to say what you don't offer?
Yeah. When it comes to safety across the board, we pretty much do it all. You know, the only exceptions might be the heavy equipment or, you know, certain like fixed crane operator training we don't do, but pretty much everything else we do. So if there's a governmental regulation somewhere that says you've got to do this, that, or the other training, you know, we're hoping the first call that people will make is to the safety council, because 9 times out of 10, or even more than that, you know, we're going to have exactly what they need when they need it.
Could you talk a little bit about the hands-on training? I know you showed me that room with all the equipment in there.
Right. You know, it's one thing to sit in a classroom, and even if you're watching a video, to see things being done, but it's a completely different experience if you can get your own hands on that, you know, and go through the procedures and so on. So that's particularly useful if it's something like lockout, tagout, for instance, because what that is, it's also called control of hazardous energy sources. And so anytime a piece of equipment is being, let's say, worked on, whether it's being down for maintenance or being repaired, you want to make sure that while people are working on that equipment, nobody comes along and accidentally energizes that equipment. Those are some of the worst accidents you can imagine, when somebody gets caught up in a moving piece of equipment. But there's all different types of lockout devices, tag out devices, you know, to make sure that nobody can then activate that equipment. So it's good to get hands-on, you know, with that. Another one was, you know, fall protection, to actually put on the body harness and be told how to correctly, you know, wear it. That may sound kind of, you know, like self-evident. It should be obvious how you wear this, but if you don't really don the equipment correctly in the event of a fall, I mean, that's such a situation that, you know, you really can't be dangling there for very long. It just puts incredible stresses on the body. So if your harness isn't being worn correctly, it can be very damaging. So obviously hands-on, to show people how to do this correctly is really important.
So I know you said that you get a lot of like employee training, but you also said that just individuals can come in if they want to. What sort of people do you see taking these classes? Is it more employees or individuals?
It's more employees. Excuse me. For the most part, we're seeing companies send their employees through the training. So, you know, every month we have a calendar of, you know, a list of classes we offer here at the Safety Council. Monthly, we're going to be offering forklift training, aerial lift training. We'll offer first aid and CPR. And so any company can send their employee, but private individuals can attend the classes as well. Again, the members are attending, you know, at a slightly discounted price, which is, you know, it's a good reason to be a member.
Do you have sort of like relationships with companies already, or are you kind of pulling people in from anywhere?
Right, that's a really good question, because you know, I mentioned the Safety Council was established in 1942. We literally have member companies that have been in membership since 1942. I've been with the Safety Council for 25 years, so it's very much a relationship-based, kind of organization. So we get on, first name basis with our members, first name basis with OSHA, and we're a pretty effective go-between between our members, and regulatory agencies like OSHA.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, we work closely with them as well.
So going back a little bit, so I know you guys offer classes, but you also offer testing as well. What sort of tests are you offering, or how is that different from the classes?
Right. Well, there are standardized tests that various organizations require candidates, for employment to take. And the tests themselves are usually through independent organizations like Criterion, Scantron, PSI, PAN. They all offer these tests, but they require them to be taken, the tests taken in a proctored environment. And so we have a computer lab. I think we now have 20 workstations in our computer lab, and a full-time proctor. So when these people come in, it's a safe, secure, proctored environment, which is what the testing agencies require.
Okay, and so who are these proctors, or who are these instructors? Where do you find these people?
Well, instructors who teach OSHA classes, excuse me.
No, you're good.
I knew that was going to happen eventually. So instructors who teach OSHA classes, it's primarily experience is what we're looking for. Fortunately, the OSHA regulations don't have a lot of criteria established for who can teach. In other words, you don't have to go through all these elaborate courses to be able to teach, but you definitely have to have the experience. The three words that OSHA uses most often is experience, knowledge, and training. So to be a qualified instructor, and that word qualified, they kind of use, it has significance. So to be qualified, you've got to have the training, experience, and, okay, I just lost the third one.
Knowledge, was that the?
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you. Knowledge, training, experience, reset. Goodness. So instructors have to have the knowledge, training, and experience in whatever the area is. A good example is, I was using forklift before. So let's say that a company needs to get their forklift operators trained. Well, you can't have the HR lady train them because maybe she's never sat on a forklift in her life. She could certainly take the material and teach the material, but that's as far as her knowledge and experience would go. What OSHA's after is they want an experienced person to be able to teach this material to, the end user. And what that does is it gives the student an opportunity to ask questions of a subject matter expert. And that's the goal of the Safety Council. We want to put the best, most knowledgeable subject matter experts in front of every class we teach. And that's why instructor-led training is always going to be superior to computer-based training. And also it gives the instructor the opportunity to tailor the content of the training to the needs of the company and to the needs of the students as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I know you said that you've sort of renovated the second building over there. Could you talk about what those classrooms look like, or what that building looks like?
Sure. The training facility, just sort of to the eye, it doesn't look that impressive. It looks very institutional, but that's partially by design. We don't want it to be distracting to the students, because when they're there to learn. So we want the environment to be very comfortable, very clean, and obviously, in these days of pandemic, we want to assure everybody that our facility is completely disinfected and is continuously disinfected. So very institutional, but it's again also very secure. Students are safe, and It's a good environment.
How has the current pandemic sort of affected how you guys hold classes?
The pandemic has, obviously, almost without saying, I mean, it's affected everybody in some form or fashion. And considering what we do here, it's had a big impact. For when the pandemic first hit, the classes that we were teaching fell off considerably immediately, just while people were processing and assimilating, figuring out what this pandemic is all about, and ways to kind of cope with it and deal with it. So as we closed our training facility down for just a few weeks while we took stock as well, and kind of disinfected everything. We upgraded some of the bathrooms so there's touch-free, facilities there. Added the hand sanitizer stations and so on. And we also reconfigured the classrooms to, all the classrooms now, the maximum capacity is about half what it was previously. So we want to make sure that when people come here, they can socially distance and again, be in a completely safe environment, COVID-free.
Yeah, so you're still hosting some of the in-person classes. Are you doing anything virtual or using any of that technology?
Well, the majority of the training that we have always done is actually on-site training. And that's on location. That's where we're sending the instructor to the member's location. We're doing the training at their facility. And obviously the convenience of that, makes sense. But in certain situations too, it gives the instructor an opportunity to do more hands-on training because you're actually in the student's work environment, and you can take them out and show them something a lot easier than you can explain it. So that hasn't changed at all because of the pandemic. So we're still doing, the majority of the training is, we'll send the instructor to the company at their convenience, do the training when and how they want it to be done. And again, it's still guaranteed to be OSHA compliant.
Awesome. And I know today we walked in on sort of like a sanitation class. Could you talk about that being like a new thing that you're offering?
Excuse me. Yes, I mean, one of the things, because we are the safety council, I mean, we're expected to take the lead in certain areas. And you would certainly expect that with, the pandemic, you would expect the safety council to be in the forefront of that as well. Because making sure, well, if you look at the OSHA logs, it's the OSHA log of accidents and illnesses. So an illness that you get on the job is also a reportable, situation to OSHA. So OSHA takes very seriously, a situation like a pandemic where, what precautions is an employer taking. And so even though there's not necessarily an OSHA regulation that addresses that specifically, there are certainly, safety procedures that you can take. And so we wanted to kind of get out there as quickly as we could with, disinfecting procedures and requirements, and incorporating what OSHA has to say, what the CDC has to say, and so on. And we'd like to come up with a program that we hope will be the standard for, future training.
Okay. And then so finally I do want to dive into sort of this partnership that you guys are creating with the Florida Mine Safety Program. So how did that partnership come about? How did that begin?
That's another good question. So again, I've been here with the Northeast Florida Safety Council for 25 years, and always aware that that there's mines around, because DuPont has been a member probably for all that time now. Chemours has been a member all that time, and our own members were constantly asking us, well, do you do MSHA, new miner training or refresher training and so on, parts 46 and parts 48. And so one of the primary things we try to do is we try to be extremely responsive to the needs of the member. So if a member calls us and asks us, well, do you do ABC training? We might have to say, well, no, but we're going to check into that for you. And so a lot of what we do is in response to these requests. And so that's kind of how we got into, OSHA training. And it also kind of overlapped with some of the content that our instructors were qualified to teach. So it was a natural thing. And over the years, we've kind of wanted to find better ways to kind of utilize that relationship and to offer this training, because MSHA also has pretty much all the same kind of requirements that OSHA does.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to find in their regulations, they've got requirements for everything we've already talked about, things like forklift training, electrical safety, lockout, tagout, hazard communication training, and all those.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a natural kind of partnership, just like we've been partnered with OSHA all these years to be partnered, with the Florida mining, facility is a natural partnership as well.
Yeah, and so when do you think those classes are going to begin, or that partnership's really going to kick off?
Well, we're very excited because it's looking like September is when we're going to kick those off, and we're going to have a very robust, offering of mining classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so those, we're excited that you'll see those on our calendar, and we're excited that you all will be promoting those classes as well. So we're very hopeful that that's going to be a good source of our being able to reach out and assist even more companies.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what do you think it's going to mean for you and also for the area and the people that you serve here?
Well, as has been pointed out, Jacksonville is kind of very well cited, to offer these kinds of classes, because we're kind of at the crossroads of, I-10 and I-95, and we're easy to get to, so transportation's good, and there's mines, in the vicinity. So we're hoping then that we'll be a much more convenient way for companies to get their employees trained in, all of the MSHA requirements, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think those are all the questions I had. Is there anything else that you want to say or add or talk about?
It seems like we kind of touched on, those are very good questions.
Thanks.
It seems like we kind of touched on it all. Particularly, the closeness of the relationships that we have developed with our members. Mm-hmm. It's very much kind of a family kind of feeling that when you have these members that have been affiliated with the Safety Council for years and years, and a lot of those are now, we have two. Previously, we only had one level of membership, and now we have what we call the premier level, which is the basic level, and then the partner level. And so we're seeing more and more companies upgrading to the partner level. And the main difference there is they've always had access to some great member benefits, and I kind of listed them before. Free consultative services. There are hundreds and hundreds of video presentations that members have access to, the discounts on the training that I mentioned. Mm-hmm. We also have a newsletter which is about the only source for tracking local OSHA citations. We also have networking opportunities here at the Safety Council, meetings that happen on a monthly basis. And we're also affiliated with the American Society of Safety Professionals, who meet here, every month as well. So that's all the basic benefits, but at the partner level, we're actually helping promote our partners' services. Mm-hmm. So we're promoting those services to our other members, but also to the community, business community at large. So, we provide links to our partner companies' websites, and their logos now appear on our webpage. And when we put out monthly updates to our class calendars, then those have our partner members' logos and links to their websites on that as well. Okay. We also put in our newsletter, which is a great source for just making sure that you're staying up to date with the latest safety developments. We also feature, a member, particularly a new partner member, every newsletter.
Mm.
So that's just another way for them to get well known in the business community.
Awesome. And if someone wanted to become a member, how do they reach out to you?
Well, our website, is www.nefsc.org, which is Northeast Florida Safety Council, the abbreviation. Or, they can contact me, because it's probably going to come to me, anyway. Don't know if you want to give my phone number or my email address or whatever, but.
They'll be
yes.
talking to you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Sweet.